Hi guys, this is kind of an impromptu video. I'm just gonna be frank. So here's the thing. I've been disenchanted by Disney for quite some time now. Their complete destruction of Star Wars, their total just bafflingly what they've done to the MCU. It's been terrible. Also, the release footage of their not so secret, in their own words, not so secret gay agenda with wokeism and all this stuff, has made us decide that we're going to be canceling our Disney Plus subscription. Now it expires. Uh, it'll expire soon, but I found out that Pinocchio, probably one of my favorite childhood films, is going to be remade into a live action reimagining. Now, as I've stated before, why Disney remakes will never surpass the originals. I'm not totally against Disney remaking these movies as long as they can do something that's just as good or better, which in some cases I think they've done okay, but they're I refuse to see Mulan. I will never watch it. It's just when I know they're gonna take out the elements that make the original really good, it's like why even watch it? However, I felt a personal need to see what they did to Pinocchio because here's what you have to understand. I was ready to go into it with an open mind. I was like, okay, we got Tom Hanks, he's a great actor. Jiminy Cricket is my favorite Disney character of all time, and I said, you know what? I'll forgive this movie if it at least keeps Jiminy intact. As long as Jiminy is okay. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, there is a little tiny figurine of Jiminy Cricket on my desk. There's a Jiminy Cricket magnet that stands up on top of our refrigerator. Jiminy Cricket is my favorite. And I said, okay, let's just give this a chance. So I warmed up my leftover pizza. I'm ready to watch this movie. And I kid you not, within the first 30 seconds of the film, within the first 30 seconds, I'm not even joking. Like, the Disney logo comes up and it's playing When You Wish Upon a Star, which, if you haven't forgotten, literally comes from Pinocchio. Disney's theme song is from Pinocchio, their second animated film ever released after Snow White. And I'm like, and Jiminy is the one who sings it, right? In the original movie. It's beautiful, it's awesome, it sets the tone. Jiminy is the narrator of the story, though it's non-invasive because we really only hear him narrate at the beginning, like, and then they kind of like the movie stops doing that for a long time. But nevertheless, I was like, okay, it's hard for me to describe this. Like, I can't show it to you, but I'm telling you, like, instead of having Jiminy sing his most iconic song, the theme song for Disney's theme song, he he barely he sings it for like 5 seconds, and it's sung so poorly. It is terrible. Like, it was awful. I was like, no, no. I was like, no, you can't. You can't do this. Oh my goodness. Now I know, like, Jiminy broke the fourth wall in the original movie, so that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. It's just lazily, he just comes onto the screen while the castle is doing that thing at the beginning of every Disney movie. He barely squeaks out his most iconic song. I was like, no, and that's how it ends. Like, they don't. He doesn't sing the rest of the song. He just goes, "When you wish upon a star, your dreams come true," and it sounded really bad. I mean, I made it sound really bad just now, just to like make fun of it. But like, I'm astonished. I was like, I'm ready to give this movie a chance. And again, I've only watched. This is my reaction from the first couple minutes, but I'm just like, how? Like, what? Sorry, I'm like burping up this pizza. Like, I had to pause the movie. Like, I was just like, I can't believe this. And they try to get this cute little banter where Jiminy the narrator is talking to Jiminy the Jiminy in the story, and they start trading back and forth about who's really narrating this story anyway, which I actually in concept think that's funny. It's I've seen that joke done before, much better. But I'm just I'm baffled that within the first couple seconds of the movie, they've already they've already shown how inferior it is to the original. Like I don't know. I don't even know if I'm gonna end up posting this video, but I'm just saying, like, I, I don't know. Like, what were they thinking? Like, I honestly don't know. But no, 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 no. True integrity is that I will finish this movie, and you know what? Even though I think it's off to a really bad start, it could still be good. It could still be passably good. Like, okay, it could still be good. I'm willing to give it a little bit more of a chance, but let's see. We'll just wait and see. And I want to be fair. I want to be fair. Like, if it's what's good, I'll think is good. I'll tell you is good. If it's bad, it's bad. But we are not off to a good start here. We are not. Guys, I'm trying. I'm really trying. Okay, so this movie stars Tom Hanks, a man I know can carry an entire film all on his own. Castaway, case in point. Just saw it again. Only just a few weeks ago. I love that movie, and it's like, so the opening, they do some things a little bit different in this version. So it's clear that Geppetto not only had a wife before, so he's a widower, but he also had a son who I suppose has passed away. And that's one of the motivations for why he's making Pinocchio, which I don't really have a problem with. I think that that's fine. The only problem is that these scenes, I don't know if it's how they're directed or they just don't have any life to them. Like, and I don't know, Tom Hanks probably, I don't know if Tom Hanks has a singing voice, but there's a reason in the original movie these scenes have songs in them. They inject some life and some vitality to them. These ones, like, not so much. It's boring. Like, and again, I'm trying, again, I get that this is live action or whatever, but there's a reason that the original film is not flawless. Pinocchio is not a flawless movie, the original. It's not. It's not even one of Disney's best films. But there's a reason those scenes have music to convey the joy and the jovialness of what's happening about Geppetto's creation. But to add insult to injury, so the Blue Fairy. Now, okay, I'm just going to be honest. I really don't care that she's black. It's only a slight annoyance because it's like, why change it? Like, there doesn't seem to be any real purpose for why you would change it. The design for the original Blue Fairy was fine. Which, again, this goes into a whole rant about, like, black characters in media. Like, there are plenty of black characters that should have their own movies and television shows, but for whatever reason, Hollywood or whatever doesn't have enough faith in those black characters. No, they're not good enough, which everyone accuses you of not liking the race-bended black characters, of being racist if you don't like them. But what really sounds more racist is that you don't believe in original black characters to stand on their own. You only think that they'll work if they actually steal the identity of an already established white character. So, like, my goodness, that's a whole nother thing. But anyways, I'm like, the fact that she's black does not distract or detach anything from the story. So I'm fine. Like, it's a little annoyance because it's like there was nothing wrong with making her the way she looked in the original film. Which, by the way, every kid who's seen the original is, if they were thinking of buying a Blue Fairy toy, which if those even exist, they probably don't. Maybe they do. I don't know. Is going to buy the one from the animated film. But here's the problem. My problem with the Blue Fairy in this movie is actually not that she's black at all. It's fine. It doesn't bother me. It really doesn't. The only thing that bothers me about it is, like, that I don't understand the decision making her black. Like, but that's different. That's different than the actual execution of the movie. But it's not the fact that she's black. It's fine. She played the character fine, as written. The actress was fine. The problem is how the character is written, because the Blue Fairy seems just as clueless of what's going on as everybody else. In fact, Jiminy seems to know more what's going on. It's like in the original movie, she's obviously like this magical deity-like personality who knows exactly why Pinocchio has come to life. It's based on the wish by Geppetto, and she has all the necessary information. She's like guiding the scene. In this one, she's like, I don't know how this happened. What are you talking about? Jiminy has to explain stuff for her. I'm like, what is going on? Also, all the majesty and the that just is just sucked out of the scene. And to add insult to injury, the Blue Fairy is the one who sings "When You Wish Upon a Star," not the whole thing, mind you, just a verse. But like, and I get it. The woman's voice is incredible. Credit where credit is due. That woman's voice is incredible. That's not the point. It doesn't make sense for her to sing it. I mean, maybe it does, I guess, but what was wrong with Jiminy singing it? Maybe the actor, which I'm not sure. I think it's Joseph Gordon-Levitt who's playing Pinocchio. I could be wrong about that. I honestly don't know. I didn't look at the cast list for the film. But maybe it's because he just can't sing, which is obvious by the opening of the film. But like, I honestly don't know. Like, it's not working. It's not working, and it's just the film isn't working. Now, Pinocchio. I'll say this about Pinocchio though. He's extremely cute. I was like, okay, this is kind of working or whatever. The voice actor sounds very, very close to the original, and I really appreciated that a lot. I actually really loved that. And I don't know if this film is gonna go the route, again, spoilers, but I don't know if this film is gonna go the route that Pinocchio actually turns into Geppetto's old son, which we'll see if that feels earned by the end of the movie. But again, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. It's just I don't understand the decisions being made, and there's definitely a reason why this wasn't released in theaters. It's clear. It's clear to me now. It just there's something missing. There's a life and energy, and I've talked about this in the why Disney remakes are never as good as the original. There are some things that work better in animation, like and this whole opening sequence is proof of that. The energy and vitality of the original surpasses this at every turn. And it's not like they couldn't have tried. It's like they didn't even try. Now, I get they were trying to be sad and establish Geppetto as a very sad character, which, by the way, Geppetto personally, again, it's not just because of childhood. Geppetto bears a passing resemblance to my late father who passed away not too long ago. Like, the animated character looks a little bit like my dad. Like, I was adopted, for those of you who don't know. And I really want them to get this character right. And I believe Tom Hanks can do it right. It's just, there's something missing. I don't know why. I'm just having trouble connecting with him. And, I don't understand that. Maybe that's my fault. Could be. I know Tom Hanks is a great actor, and I know we still have a lot of movie left to go, but it's like, I'm just sad. Anyway, let's keep watching the movie. Again, it's not horrible so far. I'm not a fan of the decisions that they're making. Let's keep going and continue. We'll see what happens next. Guys, I'm serious. I really am trying, but it's like, do you want to be... Okay, positive first. These cuckoo clocks that have all these references to Disney movies, they have to sell those. Those are great. I actually love those. Anybody who actually would take the time to watch this movie, that'll probably be one of your favorite parts of the film, is that these clocks reference all these other Disney movies, and I think that that's great. I won't spoil for you all of them, or any of them, but that's nice. Why aren't they using the original songs? Like, why aren't they doing it? Every new song that they've introduced, and I use the term song lightly, there's one that's like basically like a poem that Geppetto does, but then, Pinocchio comes to life, and I'm like, okay, here's gonna come the classic song. and they don't do it. They make a new song and it's over in 5 seconds and it's nowhere near as good. It's like, do you want to be a musical or not? Do you want to? It's like, what, Disney? Why do you hate where you come from? Like, it's like, what is wrong with musicals? Like, why? I mean, of course, Disney hasn't completely done away with musicals. I'm not saying that, but I'm like, what was wrong? What was wrong with the original songs? You don't like them? You don't like them. Like, but if you're gonna replace them, at least do it like and make a better song. Not only a better song, but I actually make it a song. Like it was Geppetto starts singing this song about Pinocchio, Pinocchio, and it's over in 5 seconds. It's over, and I'm like, do you guys like have no faith in what you're doing? Like you don't. And again, maybe Tom Hanks. I don't know if he can sing. Maybe he can't. Maybe that's why it's done that way. But I'm like, then why did you cast him? For star power? Probably. But it's like, Pinocchio, if my memory serves me correctly, is the second animated film that the Disney company ever produced after Snow White, right? Like, shouldn't it have a little dignity and respect? A little bit of gravitas? But no, it's like they don't, it's like they actively don't like the original movie. Like, or maybe they do, but they're like, oh, well, it was too boring or like this or that. I was like, so far, I would rather watch that than this. And I think I'm saying that, okay, some of it might be nostalgia. I have to admit that. But, I mean, it's just really frustrating to watch. And I'm sorry. Okay, let's keep going. It could get better. So far, I've not seen anything that makes me hate this movie or that it's the worst. Still just, it's meh. It's meh. It's not that great. But things can change. We're only, oh my goodness, we're only 26 minutes in. It feels like it's been like forever. Guys, I'm so sorry. So, okay. This is what I'm talking about. Like, do you not like the original movie? Like, do you just not like it? Now I get in the original movie, Geppetto and Pinocchio, like Pinocchio's only been alive for one night, right? Right? Okay, and immediately Geppetto's like, you need to go to school. So it's like, okay, so it's like, oh no, like, dude, your son, like, you finally have a son now. And you're gonna send him off to school like the next day, and it's like, don't you want to spend some time with him? So I guess. Now again, that's more of a whatever. Like that's a little nitpick from the original movie, which I never really had a problem with at all. But I guess some people pointed that out. I mean, it's a nitpick, and I understand it. So this movie, trying to rectify that, goes out of its way to narrate through Jiminy that Pinocchio and Geppetto became a well-adjusted family. Now, and they have this montage of them doing stuff around the house and all this stuff. And obviously, that's meant to symbolize that Pinocchio's been around for a little bit. We don't know. Maybe a week. Maybe it's been a little bit longer than that. But they said long enough time for them to be a well-adjusted family and have this montage. We know that montage cannot take place that night because, like, it was already, I think, midnight when Pinocchio came to life. So obviously Geppetto's an old man. Like, as excited as it was that this toy came to life, he has to go back to sleep. But then, oh my goodness, like, Geppetto's like, I think it's about time that you went off to school. And I'm like, okay, cool. Okay. All right, now the plot's starting to get going. Okay. But Pinocchio walks outside. I kid you not. He walks outside and says, Father, what's that big shiny thing in the sky? And Geppetto's like, oh, that's the sun. And I'm like, what? Okay, now this question makes sense if Pinocchio went to school literally the next morning, because he would have never seen the sun before. But the film goes out of its way seconds ago. Seconds ago to tell you that there was enough time between Geppetto and Pinocchio that they could be a well-adjusted family. Now I can understand. Okay, like obviously, like. No, actually, that doesn't make sense either. You might think, like, oh, well, maybe Geppetto didn't want the whole town freaking out that this toy came to life, right? But he obviously doesn't care about that because he's going to send Pinocchio off to school right now. But here's the thing. Even if I'm willing to accept that Pinocchio stayed so far his entire life now inside Geppetto's workshop. Are you telling me that he didn't see the sun through the windows in Geppetto's house? Like also Geppetto, it's a workshop. Did no one buy anything? Did no one buy anything in the time that they've spent together at all? So Pinocchio has seen the sun. He has to have seen the sun. I get that it's a funny little joke, but it's just like, come on. Like, if you're good, come on. And that line's not even in the original movie. So like, why is it there? It doesn't need to be there. The original Pinocchio, who was alive for less than 24 hours, didn't have a question about what the sun was. But this one, who we could argue has probably been alive for at least a week, I'll give it that. Probably more. I think the film implies it was actually longer. Doesn't know what the sun is. Doesn't even know. Never saw the sun. Geppetto kept all those windows closed in the time they've been together. I'm sorry. I'm trying, guys. I'm trying. I'm really trying. Come on. Okay, and again, that's a nitpick, I guess. But let's keep going. Again, the film has not destroyed itself yet. We're still in meh territory. Let's keep going. Guys, it's like they're trying. It's like they're trying to. Okay. Let me get this. Sorry, I just got to get this off my chest really quick. Okay. So Pinocchio's on his way to school, right? And they actually find a way to make it so that, because before Geppetto kind of sends Pinocchio off to school assuming that he would know the way, which kind of makes no sense. But again, that's a nitpick of the original film. This one, they actually have like a teacher with a group of students leading the way. Pinocchio's following her or whatever. And then Honest John and I believe Gideon, which is the name of the fox and the cat from the original movie, show up. And dude, again, the CG doesn't look that good on Honest John, at least. It's not the worst, but when they're first introduced, it's clear that they are not in the environment. There's a clear disconnect between them and the environment, which is can be very jarring. But again, that's. Again, I can let stuff like that go. That's stuff that's okay. What bothers me is that Honest John is humming An Actor's Life for Me, which when I was a kid was my favorite song. Like that song is so catchy, and his dialogue is done so quickly, so quickly. It's so interesting because all the new stuff that they take the time to do and add into the film, those scenes they breathe and they take time. But the original ones from the actual movie, when they're doing those, it's like they breeze past them. And it's like, and I felt that way about Honest John. And it's just like again, I said this, I know I've said this several times already, but it's like the energy isn't there. And also, I'm scared that the reason they had him humming that song is so like, hey, remember the original? And then they're not going to sing the song. If Pinocchio does not walk arm in arm with Honest John and Gideon singing An Actor's Life for Me, I'm sorry, but the movie comes down in points immediately because like that. Do they not like the original songs? Like that's what I'm trying to like understand is like, are the original songs bad? Like I don't think they're bad. I think they're actually really good, and maybe it's because I grew up with them, but like I think they're actually really well written songs. Now, I assume that I've Got No Strings will be in the movie. Like it's integral to the whole Stromboli taking Pinocchio and Pinocchio's act. But I wouldn't be surprised if they got rid of that song and added a new one. I really wouldn't at this point. Let's keep going. Also, I forgot to mention, one of the ways that they get Pinocchio to straggle behind the class is that he comes across horse crap. Yeah. Pinocchio is seen on screen examining and smelling horse crap. In my beloved children's classic film. Yeah, that hurt me a little. That hurt me a little bit. Was there a note for this film that a song can't be longer than 30 seconds long? Was there a note in this film for this film in production? Yes, we know that this is a remake of the original musical classic, but you know what? We can only have songs be no longer than 30 seconds. Like, why are they doing this to me? Why? So An Actor's Life for me was in the movie. So, okay, and it actually was pretty good for 30 seconds. Probably less than that. I'm being generous here with the 30 seconds thing. I'm just like, but it really is so short. It's over like that. Like, not even, there's no more than one verse. That's it. And then it's over. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is killing me, man. It's killing me. Let's continue. Okay, credit where credit's due. So, An Actor's Life for me, much like in the original film, has a break in between its original singing and its reprise, which happens in this film. But there's a huge problem. So, in the original movie, Jiminy explains that Honest John, the fox, is temptation. And he's telling him that he doesn't have to go to school, he can be an actor and be famous and all this stuff. And Jiminy explains, like, hey, all you have to do is say, I'm sorry, but I have to go to school. And basically the same beats play out in the new film. Only in the original film, Jiminy is lecturing Pinocchio, saying, hey, like, you need to tell them that you're not gonna go with them, you're gonna go to school and obey your father's wishes, right? Only as soon as he finishes that conversation, Pinocchio disregards everything that Jiminy said and goes with Honest John to go become famous, showing that he's not a good boy. Like, he's being immature. He's not thinking things through. He just had his conscience tell him to do the right thing, and he immediately does the wrong thing, which made it very relatable when I was a kid. Like, you know, I was like, yeah, he acts just like a little boy. Like, you know, especially a little boy that doesn't develop conscience. But in this movie, they make the interesting choice that not only does Pinocchio listen to Jiminy, he goes right to school. And when he goes to school, he gets in, and then he's immediately kicked out by the school teacher. And the school teacher says, school is for real boys. Puppets belong in a puppet show. And then Honest John shows up again and tells him, see, you gave it your best shot, but you belong in the theater, just like the teacher said. Now, again, this still works as a temptation for Pinocchio to disregard his father's wishes, but not really, and it's not nearly as powerful, because here's the thing. Even Honest John says it. Your dad told you to go to school, right? And you went. You gave it the old college try, but they kicked you out. They made you an outcast. This makes Pinocchio's choice less significant because he's only doing what he was told to do. The temptation is still a temptation, don't get me wrong. But it's not as powerful. Like, in the original film, he's directly disregarding the right choice. The right choice is to obey his father and to go to school. But he never gets there. He never gets there because he's making wrong decisions. In this one, he makes the right decision and the film punishes him for it, and then he does the wrong thing. This is not good. This is not good storytelling. The whole point of the movie, the whole arc of Pinocchio's character is that he goes from being a bad boy to a good boy. But he's already being a good boy. Like, he did what he was told to do, and he got kicked out. Now, again, in the original book, and in fact in the Jonathan Taylor Thomas, The Adventures of Pinocchio, which I think so far is a superior film, he also gets kicked out of school. But it's not because he's a puppet, it's because he's being, like, a class clown. At least in the movie. I can't remember the original book, it's been a long time. But here's what I'm saying. This moment doesn't carry as much weight because really, Pinocchio isn't really making a choice. He's not really making a choice. The choice was already made for him by the schoolmaster and left him with a different option. Now again, Pinocchio is still being manipulated and lied to, that's for sure. But this doesn't help him with character growth because he didn't really make the choice. He tried to do the right thing and he got punished. The film punished the first choice that Pinocchio did to do the right thing, when it's clearly more powerful narratively if he didn't do the right thing and learns that he should have. When he goes into theater and ends up in trouble, he can be like, I should have listened to my dad. When he, in this movie, it's like, I did listen to my dad and I got into trouble. And then I didn't listen to my dad and I got in trouble. The film is supposed to establish that doing the right thing. I'm sorry. I'm really struggling. And I know that these things are done to pad out the runtime, but like, it's like, why remake this? Like, you know, I know this is one of those things where like, I'm okay with Disney remakes. I'm okay with them. They can do something as good or better, but like, this is literally not as good. It should not have been made. But again, it's still not bad enough to be the worst thing ever. It's still meh at this point. You can still turn it around. I'm giving a lot of grace for this movie. I'm giving a lot of grace. Let's continue. Well done. There are no strings on me. That segment was well done. There's really nothing more to say about it. I quite enjoyed it. I loved it. I even got a chuckle out of it. Well done. Well done. Well done. Why? Why? Okay. So there's this other girl who works at the, oh my goodness, Stromboli's puppet show, right? And we see that she has a bad leg and wants to be famous someday to be a ballerina. And the film takes the time to actually establish this and gives her own song. And it's actually not a bad song. It just feels out of place in this movie. Like, it doesn't really feel like it's in place at all. And not only that, Stromboli, in the original film, Pinocchio and Stromboli are counting their earnings from the night, right? And it slowly becomes clear that Pinocchio is not going to be allowed to leave. And he says, I got to go home to see my father. And Stromboli is like, no. And they're laughing together. And it becomes really dark really quickly. But in this one, it literally just jumps to that. Because we have this scene with this girl. She sings a song. And then Stromboli appears out of nowhere, grabs Pinocchio, and then throws him in the cage. Like, there's no build up to that, really, at all. Whereas in the original one, it was horrifying because it was like Stromboli's acting like his friend and everything, and it seems like you know, he's saying I'll be back in the morning, and they're laughing at back in the morning, and they're walking together, and then all of a sudden he throws him in there, without Pinocchio even realizing what's going on. In this one, he just throws him in, like I don't know if it's because they don't understand how the original film worked, but like these little moments are so important because here's the thing, Pinocchio, this is why it's so important that Pinocchio makes the choice to go to the theater and not to school. Because this moment is supposed to hit us hard to reinforce that Pinocchio made the wrong decision. He trusted the wrong person. It's not as powerful in this one because not only did Pinocchio not really make the choice to go to theater over school, he already tried to go to school, it didn't work. But also, Stromboli, even though we kind of know that he's a villain, there's no scenes of Pinocchio and Stromboli together to establish a sort of kindred spirit or a warmth. That way, when he betrays him like this, it doesn't feel earned. It doesn't feel like a stark betrayal and frightening. It doesn't have as much impact. And it's not just because I already knew that was going to happen. You have to build it up. That's why that scene in the original is so scary, because it's because it looks like he's pretending to be nice to Pinocchio, but he's never really nice to Pinocchio in this. Not. Doesn't feel earned when he throws him in there. And I don't feel as bad as I would for Pinocchio if they had handled it the way the original narrative does. this is the problem. Like, I don't. We have to stop. Still have an hour left to go in this movie. It's taking me forever. I have to stop because like it just is amazing me, just the decisions that are being made. Let's keep going. And this is what I mean. Like it, they are not dedicated to the concept. The concept is that Pinocchio is a bad boy who needs to learn to be a good boy. Okay, so Luke Evans shows up in the film, which I knew he did, as the stagecoach driver. I'm probably saying a lot of words weird. I'm sorry. I'm just really tired, but he actually has a song that's pretty good, even though it comes out of nowhere and it wasn't in the original film. And I don't like that. Let me explain. So in the film, the original film, Pinocchio ends up going to Pleasure Island. On Pleasure Island, a bunch of boys. You get to be as bad as you want. You can break stuff. You can steal stuff. In the original film, they actually ended up drinking beer and cigars. In this new film, though, everything bad that's happening, they make it clear that Pinocchio doesn't like it. He doesn't like all the bad stuff that they're doing. In the original film, Pinocchio was happy. Yes, was he pressured into going to Pleasure Island? Yeah. I mean, yeah, that was there, but he loved it. He loved it there. It was so clear. He gladly broke stuff. He gladly was bad with the rest of the boys. In this one, everybody's being bad, and Pinocchio's like, "Oh no, I don't like this," and he's fear on his face the whole time. I'm like, the whole point of the story is that Pinocchio needs to learn to be a good boy, like that we can become real. In this movie, they say that no, Pinocchio, like, he doesn't like being bad. He tries to do the right thing, but he fails. Like, that's not the movie. That's not the character. He's a normal boy. Like, and oh my goodness, like, I also, I don't know why, but for whatever reason, this film has girls on Pleasure Island as well, which I guess is okay, but like, what was wrong with just keeping them all boys? Was there a problem, or is it to show that boys and girls can be equally as bad? Or I don't know what the point of that was, but this is what I mean. It's like, why are you changing things just to change them? And the changes they make actively are a detriment to the story. Because Pinocchio, like, that's the moral of Pinocchio is to teach children to do the right thing. But this movie is trying to teach different lessons, which, again, there is a lesson about peer pressure. Like, peer pressure is, that's a real thing. But that's not the lesson of Pinocchio. Pinocchio liked being bad. He liked being bad, and he needs to be shown that being bad has consequences, which is why he turns into a donkey. He turns into a donkey because he was being bad, and here's the consequences. And I know that that's going to happen in this film, but it doesn't feel earned. It doesn't feel earned at all because Pinocchio doesn't like the bad things that are happening. So I don't understand. I do not understand. The one cute thing that I do like is that they do offer them like beer mugs, but they make it very, very clear that it's root beer. And I understand, like, yes, like this is the, that, you don't want to see intoxicated children on screen. The original had a little more grit, and you can get away with a lot more back then, I guess. But also, one of the reasons why you might actually want to put that in the film, the cigar smoking and the beer drinking, is to show, which is the point of the original film, was to show that underage drinking is bad. That getting drunk is bad. Smoking's not good for you. Like, if you wanted to, the only thing this reinforces is that root beer is bad, I guess. Or root beer, again, they're trying to make it as indulgent as possible. But that actually might have been an interesting little lesson to show, hey, getting drunk is not good. Like, you shouldn't do it. Smoking's not good for you. Like, I just don't understand a lot of decisions that were made for this movie. I don't understand. When the original is far superior. Anyway, we got 43 minutes left. Let's see if it gets any better. Seriously, guys, I am not trying to stop the movie this many times, but it's like every couple seconds they do something that just... Okay, so in the original film, when they discover that the boys are being turned into donkeys and everything, they have these dark silhouettes putting the donkeys into cages, right? Now, obviously, I always interpreted that as that they were real people putting donkeys in cages, but it was so dark that you couldn't really see them. They weren't monsters, they weren't shadow monsters, but this film does it that way. They're shadow monsters. They're made of smoke. When it's been a while since I've seen the original Pinocchio. It's been at least maybe 2, 3 years. I watched it not too long ago. I always interpreted those as just dark silhouetted people um, that we just didn't see because it wasn't necessary for us to see them. They weren't actual shadow monsters. Maybe that was Walt's intention. I don't know, but it wasn't this. And I actually think it's a kind of cool stylistic choice, but I'm just like, why? Why is it happening this way? Also, I haven't mentioned this a lot, but Jiminy is nowhere near as cool as in the original. He was spunky. He had this like grit to him a little bit. He was fun. I always loved Jiminy Cricket, but for some reason in this movie, like, it's not that they ruin him. He's not. He's not ruined, which I'm glad. So far, Jiminy Cricket has not been ruined by this movie. I'm very happy for that. There's just something off. He doesn't feel like Jiminy. It's hard to describe, and unless you've seen both films, you probably won't understand. But just take my word for it on that. Again, that's more of a preference feeling thing. And I'm just not getting it. Also, I don't understand. Like, they're still playing up that Pinocchio is like, I don't want to do bad things. I want to be good. I want to be good. I want to be good. I'm like, and he's telling Lampwick, like, Lampwick in the original film and him are like best buds at this point, right? But right here, it's like Pinocchio doesn't really want to be around him at all. Like, he's just like annoyed by everything that he does and everything that he says. And I'm just like, I don't get it. Like, Pinocchio, I've already been over this. I'm not going to say it again, but it's just like, do they not know what the moral of the film is? It's like, they not understand this? Like, do they not understand? It's just really hard for me to enjoy the movie because the main character is not really learning. I mean, I guess he's learning, but it would have been more powerful. Redemption is always more powerful to see in a movie when you see how far the character has fallen. That's why it works in the original film. In this one, he's just like, I want to be good, I want to be good, I want to be good. And circumstances outside of his control, like he gets kidnapped and taken all over the place and stuff like this, but Pinocchio in the original film made conscious decisions to do bad things, and he enjoyed them, which is what makes it all the more powerful when he decides to do the right thing and turn around. I don't think this film understands that. I don't get it. Anyway, we're almost done. I mean, well, we're 40 minutes away from being done, but goodness, I hope we're almost done. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, one of the most famous moments in childhood is seeing Lampwick turn into a donkey. This moment is horrifying because we see that Pinocchio's, at this point, best friend is turning to a donkey against his wishes, and there's nothing Pinocchio can do about it. And he begins realizing that, oh my goodness, the reason that he's turning into this is because what we're doing is wrong. What we're both doing is wrong. We've both been engaging in acting like a donkey, and now we're turning into it. But in this movie, literally Pinocchio just got done lecturing. Pinocchio starts lecturing Lampwick that everything they're doing is wrong. So why is Pinocchio... And then Pinocchio starts turning into a donkey. I'm like, why is he doing that? Pinocchio didn't do anything wrong. He has not done anything to turn into a donkey. He's actually literally lecturing Lampwick. Oh, you're being bad. You're being bad. You're being bad. This is wrong. This is wrong. And I'm like, okay, good. Which means Pinocchio shouldn't turn. But he does. And again, like, they really try. They're really trying to capture the spirit of the original, but it doesn't work. The lighting's not right, not nearly dramatic enough. The CG isn't good enough. I get it. These movies are not made for cinema. They're made to make money, you know? And it's just sad. It really is sad because these remakes didn't have to be that way. It really doesn't have to be this way. They could be really faithful retellings of the original and be good. Possibly even better if they tried, but, you know, I've given a lot of grace to these things. But this might be the one that breaks me. This actually might be the one Disney remake that actually breaks me. I didn't see Mulan. Maybe that would have broke me. From what I could see, it broke a lot of other people. But man, this movie is making my stomach hurt. I'm not lying. Like, my stomach actually really hurts right now. It's probably the pizza I ate, but like, my goodness. It's just sad. Just really sad. Okay, hang on. We're almost done. But man, okay, so in the original film, after Pinocchio escapes Pleasure Island, he returns home to go see if Geppetto is there, and it's empty. It's also nighttime, adding to the drama of the scene, and he's not there. Everything's empty, and then all of a sudden, a letter from the sky from the Blue Fairy tells him what happened to Geppetto. In this movie, a seagull tells him. A seagull. A seagull tells him what happened to Geppetto. Now, this seagull, mind you, was set up earlier in the movie and everything. But it's like, do they not understand like how a scene can be powerful and emotional? Well, we don't have time for that because... So the girl that had the bad leg from Stromboli's show apparently ended up taking over the Stromboli's theater coach, and he was thrown into prison. Now, I actually kind of like that Stromboli was thrown into prison. Here's the thing. You see, as much as I love the original movie, one of the problems I have with that movie is that none of the bad guys actually get comeuppance. They never get what they deserve. So like Stromboli, he's off doing a puppet show. He's fine. The guys who kidnapped children, turned them into donkeys, never brought to justice. All that stuff. Now, I actually got to see Stromboli get put behind bars. The scene is less than 2 seconds just after exposition. Like, he was thrown into prison. Then they show him getting thrown in. And I'm like, that's great. I don't know if they're actually going to do that with the child kidnappers. I hope they do. And I'm thinking they probably will. But, like, I'm like, but on the level of what's worse, child kidnapping or puppet stealing, I think child kidnapping and transforming them into donkeys and selling them on the market to the salt mines is much worse. So I really hope that they show that guy is brought to justice. So again, I'm saying, if there's positive stuff, I'm gonna say it, you know, and that is a positive thing. I like that, though they did mess up a very potential dramatic scene of Pinocchio returning home and Geppetto not being there. It just doesn't work. Man, it's like this movie doesn't want me to feel anything. Like, it feels so cold and lifeless and empty, and it didn't have to. Walt, I miss you. I do. Back to the movie. We're almost done. 32 minutes to go. Guys, I'm trying to watch this movie. I'm trying to like it. I'm trying really hard. The original movie, when they discover that Geppetto has left, and not only that, but he was swallowed by a whale, Pinocchio goes to a very, very tall cliff and bravely jumps into it. Now, again, it's crazy logic, but anyway, it's very dramatic. He jumps into the ocean and just starts looking for his father. It's adorable. It's awesome. It's a huge character moment. And in this film, they do something, I guess, similar. So, like I said, that girl, she ended up taking over Stromboli's puppet theater or whatever, and she offers him a job. And he says, no, I have to find my father. And he's rewarded. His donkey ears disappear, and so does his tail. Now, I guess that's okay. I kind of like that he had to deal with the donkey ears and the tail for the rest of the movie. Sometimes when you do the wrong thing, those consequences stay with you for the rest of your life. And that was a really good way of showing that in the original film. I don't know if that's what the artists were thinking at the time, but that's always how I interpreted it. In this one, Pinocchio's able to make a choice, and then the right choice, and they disappears. But then it's like, okay, we need to find Geppetto, right? So, like I said, in the original film, the Blue Fairy, because of her letter, tells him what happened to Geppetto. In this one, they don't know. They're just like, we need to find him. Apparently the seagull said to Jiminy, he's like, "Hey, I'll airlift you guys, and we can search the ocean that way." And then the seagull shows up and is like, "Hey, wait up, buddy, wait up. I said that I'd airlift you, not both of you hauling a wooden puppet." Basically implying that Pinocchio is way too heavy for her to carry, which makes sense. And so what's the solution? I kid you not. They find a piece of rope. The seagull has the rope in its mouth, and Pinocchio is holding on to it and basically like jets water skiing. He's water skiing, and I'm like, wait a minute. I thought the problem was that he was too heavy, but and maybe it's like maybe he's floating because he's wood or whatever, and it's not as hard. But like they're going really really fast, so like if you're able to, I feel like if you're able to do this, maybe you'd be able to carry him too. So I don't know. It just seems really weird to me. I'm like, oh, well, like I thought there was gonna be another solution. And also, like the original scene, they're like scouring the ocean floor and they meet all these sea creatures. It's really really cool. And this, I guess, they wanted to be more dramatic and like high flying or whatever, but it just doesn't work. At least it doesn't work for me. Again, so far, the movie is not the worst thing of all time. It's not good, but it's not the worst. So far, it's just, like it's a disappointment, you know. It's just a disappointing movie. But we're almost done. We're getting to the climax of the film. The climax of the film, which could be done excellently. There's a lot of room for the ending of Pinocchio is one of the most tense and thrilling climaxes in an animated film. It's absolutely fantastic. It gives me chills every time. And you know what? Doing it in live action could be just as amazing. So let's see. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it goes. Hey, so positive. I think that this is an amazing, amazing moment in the film. It genuinely made me smile and I laughed. Is that okay, so Geppetto has not been swallowed by the whale in this version yet. And Pinocchio sees him while he's water skiing across the ocean, sees him, and they have this like reunion, but they're not together. That they're both far apart from each other. They're yelling across the water to each other. And Pinocchio tells him in very, very good detail everything that has happened since he left to go to school. And then Geppetto just, after he's done saying everything that happened, he's like, "You did all that in one day?" It's like, yeah, that genuinely made me laugh. I was like, yeah, actually, when you put it that way, it's crazy that all that stuff happened in one 24-hour period. It's kind of insane. Um, which of course is poking fun at the original film, but I loved it. That was something that I really liked. So that's a check mark. Also, Monstro looks pretty fantastic. Monstro looks really good. In fact, um, really have no complaints. I also like to say that on Pinocchio, I think that the CG on him is done really well. I know that I've criticized the CG on a few places in this film, but on Pinocchio, it's done very well. Obviously, because he's the main character, you have to sell him. Um, but yeah, I'd say that on Pinocchio in general, like it's done really well. There are some scenes that are animated better than others with him, but generally speaking, I think it's done well. So again, I want to give some positive. I'm trying to see the good in this thing. It has a lot of problems that make it inferior to the original, and overall, like not as strong as a movie as it could be. But there are some good stuff. And again, like we said, we're almost finished. Let's see how this final scene goes. Geppetto and Pinocchio are in the belly of the whale right now, and we're gonna see how they escape. And also, hopefully, they do the chase scene because that chase scene is fantastic. So let's see how it goes. I'm excited. I really am excited to finish this movie. I'm ready to be done. I'm so ready to be done. All right, let's go. This film has broken me. This film has broken me. This film has broken me. I'm serious. I Oh. Okay, so something I also realized, I do not like Jiminy's voice in this film. It's annoying. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. It's annoying me. I thought it was okay, and it just like no, no, especially in this climax, I don't like it. But okay, so again, I felt this climax is not hard. I feel like to make great, but here's the thing: there's so much tension in the original because Pinocchio is just a wooden puppet. He doesn't have superpowers. He doesn't. He doesn't. He can't. He's just basically he's like a boy. Like, as a boy and a man, a man and his son trying to escape this whale and barely surviving. They're rowing as fast as they can to get back to shore and everything they can do, and it's this really tense and thrilling moment. In this one, you know what happens? Pinocchio puts his feet in the water, starts paddling as fast, and they're going as fast as a speedboat. Yeah. I'm sorry. I can't take it seriously. I mean, I know that this is a movie that stars a little wooden puppet that comes to life, a fox that walks around in humans' clothes, but like I'm telling you, I'm telling you that seeing Pinocchio use his feet to be a speedboat to escape Monstro sucks so much tension out of this final scene that I remember from the original being so like gritting my teeth that they might not make it. I don't understand like what was wrong. And maybe they wanted to make it more exciting. I get that, but like what makes that scene so exciting is that there's no way they can make it and they barely survive. And they don't have superpowers. Like maybe saying that, him. No, I'm willing to say, being able to put your feet go that fast, make your feet go that fast is a superpower. Now, to be fair, this is established earlier in the film that Pinocchio's feet can move this fast, creating enough friction to create fire. But I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But seeing him do that, and oh my goodness, you know what else? You know what that means? This also means that Pinocchio didn't need that seagull at all. Why didn't he just swim? If he can go that fast, why didn't he just swim as far as he could to find his father? Like, let's just finish. This is it. I'm not. This is the last one. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. There'll be one last one at the end of the movie, but this is it. I can't take this anymore. What? What? Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. So, guys, listen to me, man. I, I really, guys, throughout this entire movie, I've tried so hard to give this a chance. I tried to give it the benefit of the doubt. I really tried, okay? I really did. I'm about to tell you how this movie ends. I'm about to tell you how this movie ends. And honest to goodness, I cannot believe it. I do not believe that's how they ended this movie. Okay, I cannot believe this is how they ended the movie. Ah, what? What happened? Like, okay, all right. So foregoing the. Oh my goodness, guys, the way this movie, full spoilers. Okay, you will not believe this. You won't believe this. Okay, here's how the movie ends, right? Okay. It hurts. It hurts actually to talk about this. Okay, so you guys know at the end of the original movie, Pinocchio is presumed dead. In fact, he is dead. By all accounts, he died, saving his father's life from Monstro. It ends with him lying in bed, and Geppetto is mourning him, and the Blue Fairy, by her magic, turns him into a real boy. It's this awesome, cathartic, great experience that to end the movie on. And also Jiminy, he gets his official conscience medal. It's great. I love it. I love it every time. I cry every time. You want to know how this movie ends? So they flip the script, right? They flip the script. So this time, instead of thinking that Pinocchio's dead, we think that Geppetto's dead, right? We think Geppetto's dead, which I get it, okay? We want to be able to empathize with a real human character, but if they would have made Pinocchio likable enough by seeing him grow, seeing him have this character arc throughout the film, you could do the same ending, it would still have the same emotional effect. But here's the thing. Okay, so Geppetto is lying there dead, right? He's like, Father, please don't die. Please don't die. And you know what? My father recently just died. So if you want to pull up my heartstrings, it's really not that hard to do. I've cried for less since my father died. This should do it. I told you in the middle of this video that Geppetto, the animated character, bears a striking resemblance to my adoptive father. This should make me be crying. It really should. It really should. Pinocchio, you know what he does after a few seconds saying, Father, don't die. Father, don't die. Please don't leave me. He starts to sing When You Wish Upon a Star. Which, okay, like, I see there's a scenario where that could work thematically and emotionally. There's a way to make it work, but it doesn't. It doesn't land. It doesn't land. It doesn't. He doesn't really sing it. He mumbles it out like he's struggling to sing it. But basically what we confer from that is that he wishes that his father would be alive and well, and a tear drops from his eyes and falls on Geppetto. And you know, we've seen that in other movies. Like, you know, this is not the offensive part. We're not to the offensive part of the movie. Okay? So Geppetto wakes up and they have this, oh yeah, I'm fine. And then Geppetto says something. He said, I saw you motor across that water. No real boy could do that. And then he backpedals. He's like, oh, I'm sorry, Pinocchio, if I ever made you feel like you were supposed to be someone else. This is obviously referring to the fact that we never actually hear Geppetto wish that Pinocchio would become a real boy. We don't know. You know, we infer that a little bit, but that's not actually what I think he wished for. Now, this is conjecture. I think that the film is trying to make this point that he actually wished for his real son, the one that died, to come back to life. I think that's what he actually wanted. And what's interesting is that when he wishes that, and the blue right before the blue fairy appears from the wishing star, there's this beam of light that hits the picture of his dead son, and then it ricochets off the picture of his dead son to Pinocchio, and Pinocchio comes to life. I don't really like that decision because while we infer that the blue fairy's magic is what brought Pinocchio to life, in the original film, the blue fairy shows up and basically says to Geppetto while he's sleeping that I'm going to grant your wish, and then she brings him to life directly. The wave of the wand. They don't do that in this movie. Not a huge deal. I didn't like it, but not a big deal. Anyway, Geppetto says, I'm sorry if I ever made you feel like I wanted you to be somebody else. Okay? Obviously referring to his dead son, which they never explicitly say, but you infer it. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But then they make it seem like it was wrong for Geppetto to want for Pinocchio to be a real boy. Okay? And I'm like, okay, I get the message there. I kind of understand where they're going there. But, you know, Geppetto apparently never explains to Pinocchio that, you know, his son died. At least not in the film. We don't see that. And I get that. That's fine. But then the worst possible thing happens. So, okay, they're trying to find a way to get out. And he said, and Pinocchio's like, let's follow the light. I'm like, okay, the movie's obviously wrapping up, but like, he hasn't turned into a real boy yet. So, but then we start hearing a narration from Jiminy, and it's clearly the end of the film. And I'm like, wait, hold up. You're going to end the film on this note? Pinocchio's not real. Pinocchio, that's the whole point of the story. The Pinocchio becomes a real boy. Like, what are you doing? And he's like, lots of myths and legends have been made up about Pinocchio. Some say that he turned into a bona fide real boy. Okay? And they see Geppetto and Pinocchio walking off into the light, slow motion style. And they said, and then Jiminy says, whatever's true, Pinocchio was a real boy in his heart, just like any other, and that's as good as being any other real boy. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but that's basically what he says. And we kind of see Pinocchio, as he's walking into the light, turn into a real boy, but his face is turned. You can't really see it. I'm guessing the reason they did this because they didn't want to find an actor that looked like Pinocchio, which would have been impossible. They stayed very true to the original design, which would have been possible. Which, by the way, you didn't have to do it that way. Again, there's another Pinocchio film called The Adventures of Pinocchio. At least I think that's what I remember it being called, starring Jonathan Taylor Thomas. And the puppet actually kind of looks like a puppet like version of him, and he turns into a real boy. You can kind of see the characteristics carry over, which, by the way, is a superior film to this one. I know I don't know how many people know about that film. It's actually not that bad. I actually really like it a lot. I like it better than this one for sure. But I can't imagine. I can only imagine the only reason they would end it this way. The only reason I think they would end it this way is to virtue signal a particular message. Okay, so I told you at the beginning of this video, one of the reasons, there's a lot of reasons why we are not going to continue with our Disney Plus account, mostly because we're not really watching it. Like, there's not enough good content to watch it. Also, like, all this stuff about them pushing the woke agenda and all this stuff, it's been very, very difficult to want to financially support them. I'm not saying that everybody should make the decision to cancel the Disney Plus account over that, but that seems to be the direction that we want to go into as a family. But here's the thing. The only reason I could think that they wouldn't end the movie the way the movie's supposed to end, the way the story is supposed to be told, Pinocchio is rewarded and becomes a real boy. And they leave it up to interpretation whether or not you believe he turned into a real boy or not. And they say that whether or not he really turned into a real boy, the fact of the matter is, in his heart, he believes that he's a real boy. And that makes him a boy. So the only reason I could think that Disney would want to end their movie this way is to virtue signal to transgenderism. That's the only reason I could think that they would do this. Like, every Pinocchio media that I've seen, he turns into a real boy at the end, and there's no question about it. That's how it ends. That's how it ends. That's how it's supposed to end. And, like, it's so sad, because I'm like, not only is the ending weak for the movie, the ending is weak, they have to make it even worse by not sticking to the original. And that's the thing is, like, look, this made me sick, man. This made me sick. This movie's terrible. This movie is awful. It's not only bad. It went from being meh to bad because of how it ends. And even if that's not what they were going for, it wasn't the virtue signal thing. Even if it wasn't maybe that wasn't the reason. Maybe that wasn't the reason they did it. It still fails because the whole arc of Pinocchio's character is to become a real boy. Like, so why wouldn't you just give him that? Why do you have to leave it up to interpretation? And the only logical explanation I can think of, based on the context of who the Disney company is and all the stuff that they're doing and all this stuff, is to virtue signal the transgenderism agenda. Like, that's the only way I can think to do that they did it. That's the only reason I could think that they would do it that way. I could be wrong. Anyway, let's go back over the movie. The movie's not good. I should not have watched it. And it took more, because I was doing this reaction, it took more time to watch it than it would have if I just watched it all the way through. But I don't even know if I'm going to release this video, but, like, it's just, man, this hurt. You know? I'm never going to watch it again. I'm sad. Just go watch the original. But I'm guessing this is why. Like, no, I don't know what producer saw this and thought this would be good. This would be good enough. I don't even think it's good enough to be on Disney Plus, to be on streaming. Like, I don't I don't understand who thought, you know what? Maybe they were thinking, you know what, Pinocchio, that movie's really old. And you know what? People probably don't care if the movie's good. Well, you know what? I wanted it to be good. I did. And you know what? This video is unscripted. This is my raw feelings and emotions. I don't think it would have been that hard to make a good Pinocchio movie. Like I said, there's already a good Pinocchio movie out there called The Adventures of Pinocchio, when Jonathan Taylor Thomas is in it. He voiced Simba in The Lion King. It's a good movie. I love it, actually. It's not a masterpiece, but it's good. It's good. It's actually good. But this, it's like they don't like the original movie. This is the thing, like, it almost feels like they don't like the original movie. Like that's what it feels like because like I'm like why would you make these changes? Also, of course we see that Stromboli gets brought to justice, right? He's the one who's keeping this minority woman down, from being an amazing actress and putting on her act and all that. And again, that really didn't bother me all that much. It's like whatever, like it's fine. But if you really want to show people getting in trouble, how about you show people getting punished who kidnapped children, turned them into donkeys, and sold them to salt mines? So again, I noted already that the original film has this problem too. We don't see the bad guys getting what they deserve, which by the way, narratively isn't necessarily a bad thing to do. It's not necessarily a bad thing to do because it shows that, hey, the world is a pretty dark place. Sometimes the bad guys get away with it. Now, as a Christian, I know that nobody gets away with anything. The final judgment, God will sort it out in the end. But sometimes life is like that. Sometimes the bad guys get away with it on this earth. They get away with it. Sometimes that happens. And so showing that consistently throughout Pinocchio in the original film just makes the movie more mature. It makes it darker, which is one of the reasons why it's so memorable. Is that film is actually pretty dark, but it has a happy ending. So we let that stuff go. As Don Bluth was famous for saying, I don't know if he actually said this, but he said, "Little children can get through just about anything as long as you give them a happy ending." And I believe that actually, because I grew up a lot of these like really dark films, like American Tail. Like that movie is so sad, like it's so hard to watch, and The Secret of Nim, like and Pinocchio, like there's some really scary stuff in that movie, but you give them a happy ending, and we grew and all that stuff, and it's fine. But this movie, it's like it feels like they actually hate the original. They don't. The songs from the original are barely used, and when they are used, they're only little snippets of them. Except for Got No Strings. That one got the full thing, but that's the most famous song from the movie. So like probably actually no, that's not even true. When You Wish Upon a Star is the most famous part of the movie, and they don't even sing that whole song. Oh my goodness. Oh man, guys, I had a stomach ache, and again, it's definitely because of the pizza. But I mean, dude, I, I'm amazed. I cannot believe that this happened. I cannot believe they did this. I'm glad they didn't release it in theaters. It would have bombed, and it looks like it's getting bombed by critics who watch it. It's you know what? I tried. I tried, guys. I tried to like this, but man, what do I rate it? Okay, I was gonna rate it a 1 out of 10. I'd give it a 4. Some of the shots, they really tried to capture the look of the original, and I think they did that well. I feel like Tom Hanks, honestly, his acting is like he wasn't even trying, and I get it. He's acting against somebody who's not there. Pinocchio's not really there, so that's a challenge for any actor. But it really felt like he was phoning this in, and it's sad because like he's outside of Pinocchio, the only character we're supposed to really connect with, and I don't feel connected to him. And maybe that's because I got a heart of stone, but like, dude, it's easy to pull up my heartstrings when you literally remind me of my dad and you're a sad widower who just wants a son. I'm adopted. That stuff gets me choked up every time. It really wouldn't have been that hard. But this movie failed. It just fails miserably. And you know what? I have half a mind just go and watch the original movie right now. I want so much to remember the goodness of the original film that I might just go and watch it. Don't watch this movie. Don't watch it. It's a waste of your time. It's not good. Just watch the original. I mean, I feel like people know this by now with these remakes, but it's just like, why are you doing it? And you know what? I found out the Little Mermaid trailer where Ariel's black, yet another race-bending character for no reason because people don't believe that black characters. Like, where is my Static Shock movie? Where is that movie? Where is it? There's plenty of other characters, but what I'm saying is, I feel no. Why would anyone go see these movies? Like Disney's not even is clearly not even trying anymore. They haven't been trying for a long time. A lot of it has to do with the fact that they're too big. They feel like they're too big to fail, which in some parts is true. I mean, they got us all by the nostalgia. That's the way it works, you know. We grew up with these movies and want to give them a chance, and we do. But the truth is that Disney is losing money. They're not making as gangbusters as they used to when it comes to these new woke products they're putting out. The it's becoming so apparent that the agenda is more important than good storytelling or just cash grabs, which is what this is. You know, it's what this is. And if you're gonna do a grab, at least try to hide it. At least try. But Disney doesn't feel like they need to try. And maybe you know what? I'm the one who watched it. I'm the one who did it to myself. I'm not saying I don't blame them. I did this to myself. I didn't have to watch this movie. Everyone told me, Tyrus, why would you? My wife told me, I thought you were done watching things that upset you. Like, you know, I'm not watching She-Hulk. I know it's gonna be bad. I'm not watching what else? Yeah, after Obi-Wan, that broke me. That broke me. I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I just can't. I'm not planning on watching Andor. I'm not planning. I got into the point in my life where I just want to watch things that are good. You know? I don't feel like because I'm a fan of an IP that I have to watch every single thing of content that they put out. If they put effort and quality into it, I'll watch it. But no, I'm not obligated. And you know what? I did this to give the benefit of the doubt and because Jiminy Cricket is my favorite Disney character. And I regret watching this film. I regret it. I regret it so much. 4 out of 10. God bless you guys. Catch you next time.